Some may consider her the other Tengu, kinda like Sanae as the other Shrine Maiden. Others may think of her as the girl with the flip phone, which I won't argue on that front. And there are some who thinks all she does is use Google Images too much. Even Zune thinks so. I will call said person as Hatate. Hello, Magi here, and welcome back to another episode of Character Profile, the series where we take an in-depth look of a character from games, print work, fan-related stuff, and anything that could be associated with Hatate will be discussed here. So without further ado, let's begin the character profile for Hatate Himekaidou. Name and their meaning. To start off, we'll be looking at her name. Her full name is Hatate Himekaidou. The kanji for Himekaidou means princess, sea beach, and crab apple tree, respectively. Really? Did we need more princesses?
Well, excuse me, princess. 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 Well, excuse me, princess.
Yeah, my point exactly. Himekaidou itself is a kind of Toringo crabapple. Looks fancy, I think? Himekaidou also refers to a side road often taken by women or travelers who wanted to avoid thieves. That's a good idea, I would say. Getting jacked is never a fun thing. Character appearance. We're going to be reviewing how Hatate looks. Hatate is shown to have brown eyes and long brown hair and pigtails with purple ribbons. She wears a pinkish skirt with purple trim on the collar and a thin black tie, a black band around one arm, a purple token. A token are those hats the Tengu wear. A skirt in black/purple checker pattern with a floral pattern on the purple, a small brown pouch on her hip, thigh-high black socks, which are rolled down just below her knees, and pale purplish red Gita sandals with purple straps. She carries a camera looking like a modern cell phone with a yellow/dark yellow checker pattern, a heart on it, and a brush hanging from it like a charm. Just like Aya, she is also shown to have pointed ears in her double spoiler artwork. Now there's one important thing to talk about. Now in the past, in an interesting Touhou Facts video, I talked about Aya and her wings, questioning if she had them or not. As Bohemian showed them while later works didn't. Zune confirmed himself that Aya had no wings in a Twitter response. Unfortunately, the tweet isn't there anymore. Now if Aya didn't have wings, I would imagine the other Tengus would follow foot, but I was clearly wrong. In Forbidden, we see Hatate and Aya having wings. While Forbidden is completed, it's still a more recent work. From my observation, I have to imagine the Tengus are able to retract the wings, or it could be based on their artist's interpretation, as there are different people drawing the print works. Either way, confusing as fuck. Hatate's clothes have a lot of purple color. Purple color symbolizes mystic or royalty. Mystic might be associated with her spiritual powers. Royalty might refer to Himekaidou, which is princess. It might also be reference to the deadly sin, pride. That can be bad. Appearance in games and print work. We're going to be discussing all the places she has shown up. First, the games. Her first official appearance was also her first game, double spoiler. Here she was the playable character along with Aya. In fact, her picture is in the Jewel Case CD. Now the thing is, you don't get to play her immediately as you still have to go through the game with Aya first. Only after clearing all of the spoiler stage will you unlock Hatate. You can proceed to play the previous stage with Hatate, but she'll have her own comments about each spell cards, different from Aya's. The spell cards will operate the same still, just to note that this is the only time she's been playable, RIP being relevant. Her next appearance would be in Hopeless Masquerade. During the religious war, Hatate appeared in both the Mirin Temple and the Genbu Ravine stage. She's seen standing on top of the Mirin Temple and on a pipe in the Ravine stage. For the next game, she showed up in Impossible Spell Card. Here she's one of the Tengu mentioned by Mamizo. She also wrote an article about this incident which made stronger humans and yokai try to capture Seiya. Now let's look at the print works. She first showed up in Oriental Sacred Place. She was in chapter 12 and 14 as cameos. The next print appearance is Wild and Horned Hermit. Here she pops up much more. She's in chapter 2, 15, 20, and 23 as cameos. Her next appearance will be in Symposium of Post-Mysticism. Here Hatate creates newspaper articles for this. Now while she does create articles, the Tengu doesn't have a profile created by Q in this work. The next appearance will be in Forbidden Scrollery. She only shows up twice, in chapter 33 and 45 as cameos. She shows up in the next Fairies Adventures, Visionary Fairies Enshrine. As of now, she's in chapter 7 and 9.5 as cameos. Her last appearance as of now will be in Alternative Facts in Eastern Utopia. Here she creates articles for various characters, and Aya was certainly in that print work as well, let me tell you that. Personality. Now this next part was tough for me as there wasn't much or anything to know on the wiki. This next section only came to me because of a person named, I think I might have butchered this, Gabriela Maria did a good job detailing Hatate's personality. I'm sorry if I got that wrong. I'm gonna leave a link in the description so you can check that part out. Hatate is young and idealistic, at least as far as the Tengu go. With Hatate being compared to Aya, they're like polar opposites. Unlike her senior Aya, up until recently, Hatate has been somewhat a reclusive individual relying on spirit photography to perform research for her articles. Spirit photography is her main ability, which allows her to create articles. I'll discuss it further in the power section. She still seems to believe in the value of the article themselves, believing their quality is necessary to improve the overall character of a newspaper. From what I'm understanding in YouTube terms, the content is still more important than the clickbait thumbnail/title. Correct me if I'm wrong. Her fighting skills are certainly not comparable to the other girls in the series. Due to this, she avoids fighting directly, which makes sense. She's younger than most, plus she stays at home majority of the time, never going outside to gather material. Again, it's thanks to her ability she could do that. But in the end, she's still a Crow Tengu. So yeah, don't fuck with them. Occupation/jobs. I'm sure you guys are not surprised about this part. Her main occupation is for her newspaper, the Kakashi Spirit News. Here she creates the articles and takes pictures by using her cell phone camera. Unfortunately, the pictures are only from events that have already happened. The pictures she gets using her thoughtography powers are normally found elsewhere, and if you're covering the news from other people's stuff when it comes to the news world, that's pretty damn slow. Due to that, her paper ain't popular among the Tengu, even compared to the Bun Bun Maru newspaper. Hot damn! Being compared to Aya's paper, that's bad! I think. It's because of that during Double Spoiler, she takes steps to get her newspaper ahead of Aya's. She then gathers material by herself. As of now, we don't know if the change made it more popular. Hatate says that taking good photograph is not enough for a great article because it needs a well-revised text that would bring out the picture's charm. I can't disagree with Hatate there. While Aya prefers to write about usual daily news, Hatate seems to prefer showy events that would attract the audience. Gotta go for the exciting stuff. I can respect that. General information/backstory. For this section, we need to look at the Tengu species. The plus side is after covering this part for Hatate, I can always refer to this again for Aya and Magi in the future. We'll focus on the original Tengu mythology before moving onwards to the Touhou version. A Tengu, translated as Heaven Dog, is a form of yokai common in Japanese mythology. In general, Tengu are analogous to the Western idea of goblins. Well, they're certainly not going to be cute then. Two main subspecies of Tengus exist. The Crow Tengu are similar to anthropomorphic crows with a humanoid body structure, whilst the Yamabushi Tengu resemble Yamabushi monks with red skin and very long nose. No idea what a Yamabushi is, so yeah, there's that. Tengus are said to be mischievous and sometimes malicious with a propensity for playing pranks on humans, but stories also exist of them acting as mentors. The dickish mentor, always gotta have one of those. Although they disdain the proud and arrogant, they're often guilty of those same flaws. They are also associated with the arts of war and politics. That can come in handy. Objects often associated with the Tengu include the shakujo, a ring-tipped staff used for magic or physical combat, the token I had already talked about for Hatate, which can also be used as a divining cup, and a hachiwa fan, which can be made from the leaves of the Japanese Aralia or from feathers and is said to have the powers to create gale force winds. Sounds painful! Tengus are also commonly depicted wearing Tengu Gita, a type of Gita sandals with one tall slat rather than two shorter ones, making it extremely difficult for human wear to keep the balance. Yeah, that shit looks fucking annoying to walk in. To be fair, they can fly, so maybe not that bad for them. The majority of these items are derived from traditional Yamabushi garb. That's the Tengu in Japanese mythology. We'll cover the Touhou version. The Tengu of Gensokyo are known for their love of gossip and writing newspaper. Tengu reside in Yokai Mountain and seem territorial of humans and other yokais trespassing within their home. According to Aya, they are great drinkers, only rivaled by Oni. The Tengu once had a written language of their own, but no one who's currently around can read it. Rip the language! From Perfect Memento, written by IQ, the Tengus predate Gensokyo. There are a bunch of Tengus. We only see the ones from the games and the printworks, and they haven't given us much when it comes to the other bunches. To list them, we first have the Tenma, boss of the Tengu. It said Tenma made a deal with the mountain gods, which we imagine is Kaneko when she first arrived. We then have Great Tengu. They're the management type. Hatate's spell card comments about Yugi and Suika in Double Spoiler, states that she suspects that they are either trying to hide something or are trying to prevent the Tengu from getting too close with the Oni. She also believes that they are simply trying to use Suiko and Kaneko for their own ends, and they are the same regarding the Tengu, and wishes everyone would just lighten up. If Wild has shown me anything, and it's that Kaneko sure knows how to plan. When it works in her favor, anyway. We then get to the familiar kind, the Crow Tengu. They're the Nimble Information Corp. They're similar to anthropomorphic crows with a humanoid body structure. The next one is Long-Nosed Tengu. Don't believe we've seen this one yet. They specialize in business work and are rarely seen by outsiders. While map making is one of their duties, nowadays their go-to-see positioning system lets them do so without going outside. Glad they also have the GPS. Next is a familiar one, the White Wolf Tengu. They're the mountain defense force responsible for keeping out intruders. They're known as avid players of shogi, particularly various forms of their own Great Tengu Shogi, with dozens of extra pieces and rules. A single game of Great Tengu Shogi can last for days. Don't know if I can handle that. I would first need to learn shogi, but yeah, you get the idea. The White Wolf Tengu are likely based on the Chinese Tiangu, from which Tengu derived their name, or a type of dog-like Tengu known as Gu-hin. The last one is Yamabashi Tengu, or Shugendo Monk Tengu, literally meaning mountain-dwelling Tengu, are the printers. Another one I don't recall seeing. There's a bit more when it comes to the Tengu. If you've seen the Tengus in Touhou, you know how they look similar to humans, although there are exceptions like the Great Tengu who are big. Tengus are more intelligent than humans and are very social. On an individual basis, they have strong physical and sorcerous abilities that compare favorably to any yokai in Gensokyo. In particular, they can fly extremely fast and there are very few, if any, who could match their speed. They're generally cheerful, heavy drinkers. When they drink sake, they don't hold back in terms of quantity. It is said that as a greeting, they'll drink 18 liters of sake in one gulp. Holy fuck. Remind me to never challenge you guys in a drinking contest. They also have a strong sense of community, and if one of their friends are attacked, they'll certainly react with hostility. The crew's got their back. If an intruder appears on the mountain, they'll quickly show up in a force to remove them, which is a characteristic not seen in other yokais. Yeah, most yokais don't really give a fuck. Tengus are pretty anal about it. Usually if there's an incident, they'll show up with their amazing speed, take a photograph and turn it into an article, then print and publish it. And with their speed, they can get that shit done fast. Titles. When it comes to titles, she only has two. Modern Day Thoughtography Reporter and Inexperienced Spoiler Reporter, both from Double Spoilers. Not much to say there. Possessions, if any. As of now, the only noteworthy possession she has is currently her cell phone camera, which she wields during Double Spoiler. It was shown once more in Walden Horn Hermit Chapter 2. Ability/powers. Now her ability that has helped her create articles without even leaving her home is Thoughtography or Spirit Photography. Now according to Wikipedia, and I had no idea this was a thing until now, is that Thoughtography is the claimed ability to burn images from one's mind onto surfaces such as photographic film by psychic means. While the term thoughtography has been in the English lexicon since 1913, the more recent term, projected thermography, is a new expression popularized in the 2002 US film The Ring, which is obviously a remake of the 1998 Japanese version. From Hatate's powers to the fucking ring. You know shit's gonna get real then. Now in Hatate's case, her ability works by inputting keywords for her camera, which she uses to find associated photos. When I was researching this, the best analogy I saw was like Google Images. Imagine that on her camera pretty much. Not bad to have all things considered. Better than kicking. Always better than kicking.
Music.
As of this recording, there's no official music dedicated to her. The reason being is that with the way this spin-off series works is that the music is often played throughout the entirety of the stage, even if there are different bosses in it. Hatate is in the spoiler stage, which I would call it the extra stage, but that reuses tracks that have already been played. The closest thing to her own music is the soundtrack you hear when you're in the spoiler stage menu. But that's not really much, as it's the same version as you would get when looking through the menu as Aya, but with small tweaks. I guess I'll use that as it's the closest unique thing for Hatate, which is sad to say.
Gameplay.
As she's only been playable in one game, there's not much to go over. Her gameplay is very similar to Aya, but there are small differences. Compared to the two, Hatate has faster charging speed, at about double speed. For those not aware, the charge speed is the time it takes for the camera to get charged to capture spell cards and rid the screen of Damaku. When it comes to the zoom functionality, between the girls, Aya is able to take pictures from a further distance, while Hatate is pretty shitty. Their starting camera orientation is different, but you can change it either way. Aya starts in landscape and Hatate's in portrait. Now there's also a frame difference. This is a matter of preference. Aya takes standard 4:3 photos, Hatate takes panoramic pics. These both have certain advantages and disadvantages depending on who you're up against. Although if you're concerned about defensive snapping, Aya can snap larger holes in swap of bullets.
Spell cards.
There ain't much to spell cards, but at least we can talk about them. Now she has 5 spell cards, 3 in double spoilers and the last 2 in impossible spell card. For double spoiler, she has reporting, Hatate Himekaidou's reporting training. The next one is called Continuous Shooting Rapid Shot. The last one is called Far-Sightedness Tengu Psychography. For impossible, she has photography, full panoramic shot. And the last one is called photography, secluded paparazzi.
Relationships.
Now she doesn't have much when it comes to relationships, so let's just blast through this quickly. The most important one is Aya. The only reason she came to the spotlight was because after reading Aya's newspaper, she wanted to see how the main Tengu gathered articles. Not only that, during their meeting, she confronts Aya and debates the pros of her journalistic style and the cons of Aya's style, which then prompts Aya to take photos of Hatate's spell cards. And in alternative facts, we clearly see that Aya has no problem editing Hatate's works, changing the entire meaning of her work as shown when discussing about Sumiriko. Hell, Aya called Hatate's work fake news, which is ironic considering what she did to Hatate's work is considered just that, fake news. Aya did apologize in her work later on, so it appears they're not in the best relationship as any friend would have debated between the works, or at the very least not heavily edit the other's paper, you know? There's some minor ones. One of them is the other Tengu, Magi. Hatate appears to somewhat admire her colleague Magi's sense of sight and smell, and is rather impressed by her spell cards. I mean, from what I hear, they do have some crazy ass senses. The last one is a Tenma, and this is simply Hatate's chief, plus every other Tengu.
Fun/interesting facts.
If you remember Hatate's camera, it looks very similar to a phone. Not surprisingly, it was made by the Kappa. From there, it is possible that the Kappa reverse engineered something left behind by someone who was spirited away to Kinsokyo. From what we can see, it appears to be a flip phone. Double Spoiler came out in March 14th, 2010, so it does seem likely that the human who was spirited away in the past could have dropped it and the campus found it and worked on it. As of now, from what I've seen, smartphones aren't a thing in Gensokyo yet, except for Sumuriko's, which makes sense considering she's from our time. And while this was mentioned earlier, it is fun to know, the articles on her in Alternative Fact implies that she is younger than Aya. We rarely get much info when it comes to other characters' age, so it's always fun to get some snippets of it. Now there was something about Hatate I did not realize. Zuna admitted that he simply forgot about her after Double Spoiler, and attributed her absence from the work to her having no friends. What a fucking savage! This is subverted, however, given that her Kakashi Spirit News columns appear at the end of Symposium alongside Aya's Banbamuro articles. Hatate would also make cameos in Forbidden, Wild, and all the other future work, so she's not entirely absent. Doing better than some characters, that's for sure.
Fan-on stuff.
We're now at the fan-on stuff. Let's see what kind of crazy stuff there are for this girl. Fans often joke that Hatate uses Google Images search to get all her pictures instead of going outside like Aya does. Even Zun himself has referred to Hatate's ability as working like Google in his Symposium interview. I bloody knew it. Hatate's purple clothing and thoughtography ability seems to all point to Joseph Joestar of JoJo's Bizarre Adventures. Specifically, his Part 3 incarnation where he has a stand, Hermit Purple, which can project images of any target in the world onto paper by smashing a camera with it. Aya used to be pictured with a lot with Joseph too. I mean, when you have characters that use cameras quite often, I can see why. Because of the purple color she wears, an artist on PixieV has created and popularized an emo version of Hatate called Hatatan, who's usually seen with black hair, scars, and bags under the eyes. It's definitely a unique look, I'll give the Tengu that. There's a rather notable catchphrase that Western fans have created called Hatataters gonna hatatate, a wordplay on hate is gonna hate. The puns are real here. In the Japanese fanbase, she has been associated with scallops, which are called hotate there, due to the similarity with her name. Somewhat reasonable. Hatate's checkered skirt is identical to the missing texture pattern in Half-Life 2 and other source-based game, which has led to jokes among fans. This has also been loosely compared to graphical editors such as Adobe Photoshop, which uses the checkered pattern to show the transparency within an image. Let's just stick to Touhou for now, don't need to jump to another franchise like The Ring anytime soon.
Pairings.
There's only one pairing for this, to no one's surprise. Hatate's one and only main pairing is Aya. Aya and Hatate are Aya Hata. In Double Spoiler, Hatate appears as Aya's rival. The pairing is clearly a form of rival shipping. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Which facts about Hatate did you enjoy? Do you think Hatate's ability is pretty cool? Did you learn that Hatate is younger than Aya? Or did you find it sad that she didn't have her own music track? Just to note, Kozuzu, a printwork character, has a fucking theme! Sorta. I know it's deviating from Hatate, but let me explain. In Forbidden 6th volume, a music CD track was released with 3 songs. One of the songs is called Bibliophile with a Deciphering Eye. And if you read Forbidden and understand her powers, the song title is practically describing Kozuzu. So yeah, Hatate got fucking wrecked there. Let me just play it for you real quickly. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed this episode, please give it a like and subscribe, or else Hatate might never get her own theme, and that wouldn't be good for her. Either way, this is Magi, and thanks again for watching.